Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the Maudeline Spacks tribute band. We are gathered here today to witness the reappearance, the disappearing and reappearing Maudeline Spacks, the greatest vanishing artist the world has ever seen. Despite the occasional hoax in recent years, the last time that anyone was actually lucky enough to see the genuine article was over a decade ago, for what was to prove to be her swan song. She performed on two sides of the globe at the same time. One, the Sydney Opera House, and two, the Royal Opera House in London. Those lucky enough to get tickets were left mesmerised by her extraordinary talent, while a live video link-up broadcast the concurrent performances to each venue. At exactly 1:15 in the morning, Maudeline vanished from both venues at once and was never seen again. Some have said that this was her greatest achievement. Others, like myself, view it as a great tragedy. The vanishing artist who vanished forever, she remains, perhaps, both dead and alive at the same time. And tonight, ladies and gentlemen, in just a few minutes' time, we are hoping, no, expecting her to reappear before our very eyes. And I was there, ladies and gentlemen. I was there when the world's greatest vanishing act, Maudeline Spacks, unexpectedly disappeared forever. It was billed as the cabaret to end all cabarets, the pièce de résistance of an artist at the top of her game. Maud was going to perform in London and Sydney in person, simultaneously. The evening began along Bow Street, outside the Opera House, with me standing in a queue in the pouring rain.
It wasn't pouring, it was just drizzle.
In the pouring rain. Fumbling through my pockets for my guest pass, I overheard a journalist from the Evening Standard negotiate free entry to the 2,000-seater venue. Behind me, I spotted Lynn Gardner from The Guardian, huddled under her umbrella, frantically typing notes into her iPhone. A moment later, Sting walked past. Sting. A moment later, Sting walked past wearing a faux snakeskin jacket. It seemed to be Maudeline's elusive big break. The kind that is impossible until it really happens. It was to be my break too. I'd completed all the illustrations for the show and painted the stage set. I'd done it gratis, on the condition that I was credited by name on all of the publicity. I pictured myself in an hour's time, smiling coyly from my seat when she introduced me to the audience as her talented collaborator, explaining that we had known each other for years. 9 years.
8.
9.
It was 8 years. We've known each other for 8 years.
9 years, to be precise. She was the unattainable woman that had enchanted my best friend at art college. Later, she became the subject of my own infatuation after an evening lost together under the pale moon. I would recount our short-lived fling to anyone prepared to listen as if it was a love affair of epic proportions. Today, however, while Maudeline and I still remained on amicable terms, our friendship had been strained somewhat by my working on her publicity portrait.
Could you please make my bust look a little less like a pair of Fridays? Would you be happy with a picture of yourself that looked like this?
I would say, of course, to all of her minor demands, before hanging up the phone and crying bloody murder. These requests for minor adjustments went on for 6 long years until I had repainted her entire image into someone startlingly beautiful, but quite unrecognisable from the Maudeline Spacks I knew. Yet that evening, when we finally took our seats and she marched onto the stage through a cloud of smoke, flanked by an entourage of dancers and confetti, she would seem even more stunning than any portrait ever painted. As the confetti settled and the dry ice cleared from the stage, however, I realised that my beloved stage set was nowhere to be seen. The caryatid throne had been replaced by a simple stool, and the backdrop was a red velvet curtain, not the sunset cloudscape that I had spent 2 years labouring over alone in my studio until the early hours of each morning. Nonetheless, the performance was extraordinary. In all honesty, it is actually very hard to remember anything specific about it, though. Perhaps it was just too incompatible with everything else I knew to be true. I do recollect, however, that the audience fell into spellbound silence as endless, impossible spectacles unravelled before us. And I remember the thrill of rediscovering that childish world where miracles really can happen every time Maudeline vanished from the stage. A live video link-up showed her appearing at the venue in Sydney in front of an equally mesmerised audience. She seemed to be in a constant state of metamorphosis, able to reappear from thin air before exploding her own body and assembling as another version of herself.
Ice cream? Ice cream, officer. Would you have ice cream?
I don't mind if I do.
One moment. Ice cream.
The interval came. Stewards were stationed in the shadows selling ice cream and merchandise that was plastered with publicity shots that made Maud look like Marilyn Monroe, complete with her characteristic pout and her dimmed eyelids. My portrait of her, the one I'd slaved over like an idiot, was nowhere to be seen. I was both furious and embarrassed, trying to avoid eye contact with people for whom I had bought tickets to the show. I elbowed my way through the crowd to the backstage entrance and asked to see her. I explained to the thick-set bouncer exactly who I was and showed him my backstage pass, but he refused point blank to let me through. He said I could have been her brother for all he cared. Nobody was allowed to see Maud, thank you, until the performance was over. I went back to my seat, pissed off and red in the face. My uneaten ice cream grip over my trousers. The second act was also amazing, although not quite as good as the first half. Maud spent most of the time singing a series of songs that she claimed to be inspired by her past lovers.
He couldn't keep it up, no matter how hard he tried. He couldn't keep it up. My little left soon died. My little left soon died.
elation always passed me by. No greater frustration than those vanishing sensations, those vanishing sensations.
While I have to concede it was sublimely melodic, I swear it was the only time that evening that she looked me straight in the eye. The show then continued for another hour plus 2 encores, taking us to 1:15, at which point she disappeared from the stage for the last time. By this point, I was fed up and I needed a drink. After a couple of stiff whiskies, I tried to enter the backstage area again. The bouncer looked me up and down before telling me I was still not allowed back in. Whilst we stood negotiating, he let several members of the press wander straight through, plus some sweet-talking groupies that had very nice bums. Lynn Gardner walked straight past me without a second look. She was too busy listening to Sting raving about the shop on Carnaby Street where he bought his faux snakeskin jacket. I was pretty drunk by this point and said that I wasn't moving until the bouncer let me through. He told me, "If you don't leave now, I'll throw you out." I said, "If you try to throw me out, I'll give you a blowjob." He proceeded to start pushing me out of the venue, so I grabbed his face and gave him a big, wet kiss on the lips. I don't remember much after that, apart from waking up very bruised in a nearby alleyway. The next day, the bouncer announced that he intended to press an assault charge against me for forcibly kissing him. He didn't tell me this personally, though. The venue manager informed me instead. The manager also added that if I saw Maudeline in the next few days, I was to tell her that they wouldn't let her perform again if she brought idiots along to watch her. But I never did see her again, and neither did anyone else. Apparently, Maud never turned up backstage. In fact, she couldn't be found anywhere. It was as if she truly disappeared into thin air. Perhaps she was still roaming that in-between space that I had tried to imagine for my paintings of her. Now I was not only financially ruined by all these bloody artworks I'd made, but overcome with grief at the loss of my muse. For years afterwards, I kept mistaking other people for her, be it a strawberry blonde-haired girl in front of me in the supermarket queue, the woman in sunglasses driving past my painting studio, or the mother of 2 young children serving drinks to guests at a garden party across the street. And after my initial excitement, I'd soon realise it was just another false sighting, and it would seem as though she was disappearing from my life all over again.
Ladies and gentlemen, in precisely 5 minutes' time, I am due live on stage at the Sydney Opera House. So please excuse me as I disappear before your very eyes.
that's the last I ever saw of Maudeline Spacks. The vanishing artist who vanished forever. Until tonight, ladies and gentlemen. You see, Maud could never miss a show of hers, and tonight will be no exception. No exception at all. You saw the brochure. This was billed as the return of Maudeline Spacks, the real deal. This isn't just some phony hoax where I hire a talented actress, put her in a yellow dress and get her to pretend to perform a miracle. And I just know that Maudeline won't be able to resist making an appearance, not after all this has been put on for her. You're here, I'm here. The only person left to arrive is Maudeline herself. Are you ready for her, the real Maudeline Spacks, to finally appear? Just in case she doesn't appear, of course. I do have a plan B. Rest assured you will get a miracle. In fact, I've been advertising for a miracle maker for over 2 weeks. Posters have gone up in every bar and public place in the city and beyond. I put it on Facebook, Twitter, internet forums. I sent a plea to the press and telephoned everyone I know wanted a genuine 100% bona fide miracle maker, £450 inclusive fee, plus free accommodation. I'd perform a miracle for that if I could. You must be able to vanish into thin air, reappear from the ether, explode your own body and reassemble as a different version of yourself or similar. If you cannot achieve the impossible, please do not apply. The ideal candidate might bear more than a passing resemblance to Maudeline Spacks. I couldn't sleep as the deadline approached. The publicity for the show was already going out, and this very venue had been booked for 6 months. To my dismay, I got only 7 applications. Most of them were from people who believed in miracles, but hadn't actually figured out how to perform one yet. Only one person applied that could actually perform a miracle. And that was the person I booked for tonight. Alan, the Live Reader!
Hello. How are you all? I'm fine, by the way, thanks for asking. Now, my name's Alex. I'm not a magician. I'm not going to show you a magic show. I'm not going to show you magic tricks. This is a magic trick. I'm a mind reader. That means I tell people what they're thinking, but I'm not psychic. I don't read palms. I don't talk to the dead. I read people. And I talk to the living, usually. And I need 2 living people to help me. I'm going to come amongst you now. I think this chap here, could you come up and join me? Would that be all right? As long as there's a stool to sit on, then maybe if it's a what actually, I see this chap here. He looks great. What's your name? Michael. Michael, could you come up and join me, Michael? And I need a lady as well. I think this lady here, what's your name? Susanna. Give Michael and Susanna a round of applause. There's a piece of card, just read that to yourself, remember. And Susanna?
Susanna.
There's a piece of card for you as well. On yours, Susanna, it asks you to think of a name from your past. I won't say anything more than that just yet, but try and get the first name in mind. And Michael, yours asks you to think of a word. Michael, you'll be a kind of warm-up, I guess, a little bit easier for me. So feel free to change your mind a few times. Settle on one word. Fill in the card like I asked you to and fold it to the writings on the inside. Do you have a name in mind? You do. Fill in your card as well. Now, Maudeline was famous for being in two places at once, and I'm going to try a psychological version of that where I'll be in two minds at once. That's essentially the miracle I'm going to show you. It's all finished. Now I'll give you an envelope to put that in, make sure you seal it. I'll take back my pen, because frankly, Michael, you look like the kind of man that steals stationery. I'll take back my pen, not because I don't trust you. You're standing quite near Michael. I have an envelope for you as well. Seal that inside there. And make sure it's sealed. As in lick and seal it. It's only a mild hallucinogen, you'll be fine. Happy that's sealed? And you can't see through it or anything like that?
No.
Happy? Right, you just take a step to your left. There you go. And you're happy they are sealed and you can't see through them or anything like that. Happy? Okay, I'll come back to you in a second. So keep focusing on that name. I'll start with you, because you're going to have a warm-up. Now, what I need to do is get this word that's in your head to disappear and reappear in my head. And it's not going to happen straight away, it's going to happen instantly, it's going to happen piece by piece, letter by letter. So in your head, you're going to spell this word over and over again. So you start at the beginning, you say each letter in your mind, okay? Look at me. You do that now. Imagine it written on a neon sign. Huge neon sign, the big circle all the way around, you can see the word, and each time you spell a letter in that word, that letter flashes on that sign. Each one a different colour. And you see that really clear, so you've got blues and yellows and purples. Vowel, A, there's an A in there, yes? Good. Keep spelling it. T, definitely a T. There's a T and an E and an R. We could have been friends. Spell it again in your head for me. See it really clearly. You can see this. Look at this. Can you read my writing?
Yep.
Don't say it out loud. Yeah? I want you to remember that word. I'm getting you to say it out loud in just a second.
Okay.
Hold on to it for me. So on the count of three, you're going to say really clearly so everyone can hear the word that you're thinking of. Be honest. 1, 2, 3.
Elephant.
And what word did I show you?
Elephant.
A miracle. Thank you so much. So,
Okay.
yours is more difficult because yours is a name. So it's not just a word, it's a name. And although there are lots of John Smiths in the world, there is at least one person on this planet called Tallulah Does the Hula from Hawaii. So it could literally be anything. But I can tell you the name that she's thinking of is the name of your first kiss.
Yes.
That's right, isn't it? Yeah? Are you happy for me to tell people this?
Yes.
Okay. So, you need to reminisce for me for a moment. I know it probably wasn't good, but just kind of reminisce. Close your eyes for me.
Okay.
And you're just going to reminisce and start saying that person's name just in your head. And maybe think about where you were when you kissed this person, how old you might have been, what this person looked like. Keep saying that name in your head over and over again. Good. Open your eyes. Be honest. Were you outside when you kissed this boy?
Yes.
Yes, you were. I thought you were. And how old were you when you kissed him?
Probably about 8.
8?
Yeah.
I don't think anyone was expecting 8, but that's fine. I want you to tell everyone, because you were contemplating lying, weren't you?
Yeah.
On the count of 3,
Yeah.
You're going to tell everyone this name nice and clearly. 1, 2, 3.
David.
One last thought for this miracle. I've written something in it on it. It says something years old. What does it say?
8 years
8
old.
years old. Give her a huge round of applause. Thank you so much. That is my miracle, ladies and gentlemen. If you excuse me, I must disappear. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Alex the Mind Reader!
Ladies and gentlemen, we are gathered here today to witness the reappearance of the remarkable disappearing and reappearing Maudeline Spacks. Arthur Chill and his caresses, by the plainness of her manners, by the plainness of her dresses. Now I know her burning too. Arthur Chill and his caresses, by the plainness of her manners, nay, the plainness of her dresses. Now I know her burning too. The more so tender and true, as long as my